This pen is not $10,000. You may have seen on the internet a pen called the Montblanc Blue Hour Skeleton. That's a pen that can be bought for around $12,000, and it looks like this. Now this pen is called the Laban Formosa, and it seeks to emulate the same unique style at a slightly more sane price for a fountain pen. It comes in at $224, which is like 2% of the price of the Blue Hour. Well, it's time to talk about pens, and let's find out and see if either of these pens are worth it. First off, I have to thank Goldspot Pens for providing this pen for review. I wasn't paid or anything like that to do this, but they were kind enough to give me an affiliate link if you want to use it below to buy this pen or anything else they offer. So first of all, to dissect this pen, the Formosa, it's made of a swirling blue resin encased in a metal overlay, as you can see. It's got a metal grip section, and if you unscrew it, you can see it's a cartridge converter, so it can take any bottled ink or standard international cartridges, and it also has a stainless steel number 6 Yovo nib, and this one happens to be a broad nib. So there are a lot of differences compared to a pen you would obviously visually compare it to, like the Blue Hour. The Blue Hour has platinum plated trim, it's a demonstrator piston filler, so the resin is a clear blue that you can see the piston mechanism going up and down the pen in. More importantly, it's got a massive 18 karat gold nib, whereas the nib on here is only steel. However, you can get piston fillers for cheap. This is a TWSBI Eco worth like $30. And this is a Pelican 600. It's got a gold nib and it's a piston filler and it's only a couple $100. So then why is the Montblanc so expensive, right? I mean, obviously, it's got a lot of prestige as a brand. It's kind of like having a Rolex. You can show it off. But I mean, it's also a great pen. It's super fancy. I mean, it just looks beautiful. But it's $10,000, man. And comparing it to a pen like this one starts to look a lot more tempting if you actually want to buy a pen. So where does a pen like this come in, right? Obviously, it's a little more my alley. It's more designed for hobbyists that just like to use cool pens. I mean, this type of pen is really unique, too. It can really only be found on pens that are usually far more expensive, like Viscontis and Montblancs. It's rare to see an overlay on pens at all, and I think it looks great on this pen. I mean, the pattern is a little unique. It's supposed to, I believe it's supposed to mimic waves. That's what it was inspired by. Most pens similar to this, that are just pens made of turned resin with Yovo nibs, can be found in like the mid-$100 range and up. And the extra price on here is, I think, because of the overlay. I mean, it's probably not easy to make these things. It certainly adds to the cost here, and I mean, it adds to the cost on the Montblanc as well. But, I mean, we've already established that this pen looks cool, right? And we've gone over a little bit about what makes it different than a pen that's worth so much. So, I mean, let's see if this thing can write and if it can write well. So, here we go with the Laban Formosa. Let's get a good close-up of that nib. You can see the imprint. It's got like some mountains and some rivers, and it says Laban on it. I'm a big fan of the new Yovo design. They got rid of the little scroll marks, which are cool, but now the nib looks much more clean. Personally, I'm not one for metal grip sections, but this one is pretty nice because it sort of flares out like that, so your fingers aren't going to be slipping down, going on a slip and slide down the pen like they would on something like the Lamy Studio. And then, as you can see, got that nice swirling resin trapped in that metal cage, and then got that cartridge converter. Cartridge converters have really grown on me over the years because they're just a much more practical option than piston fillers, even though piston fillers are admittedly pretty awesome. But yeah, let's get to writing with this. This pen just writes great. I mean, it's got a broad nib, so it's bound to be pretty smooth, and it does have a little baby's bottom, like you can see there, where it sometimes has a little bit of trouble starting up, just because it's so smooth. It's inked with diamine, woodland green. I'm not sure what I was doing there. This is just a super cool green ink. Hadn't used it for a while. Inked it up in this. It's this one right here. And yeah, I mean, this pen is just fantastic to write with, man. I have no complaints. Yeah, you can see another baby's bottom thing where the nib is just so smooth that sometimes the ink doesn't get all the way through the tipping. into the paper. But then once it starts going, it's fine. It happens after it's been sitting out in the air for a while. But yeah, I mean, come on, this pen is just super smooth. It's a great writing experience. It's perfectly weighted in the hand. Like the Mont Blanc pens are always super huge, like the 149 and pens of that size. I mean, they're still cool in their own right, but this is just, it's a real nice medium pen size. It doesn't go crazy. Yeah, it just fits perfectly. I've been using it for the past few weeks. Yeah, you can see I left it sitting. I've been using it for the past few weeks in class, doing assignments, stuff like that, and it's been working really great. Really, honestly, no complaints here. Now, I suppose the one thing is, I mean, it's a Yovo nib, so it's sort of an off-the-shelf part that really any fountain pen brand could use. And in one sense, that's a drawback, because a company like Mont Blanc makes their own nibs, but, I mean, you really can never go wrong with Yovo. There's a reason they're so popular, because they write so well. I will say, yeah, the only issue that I've dealt with is the drying out. If I just sort of hold it in the air for like 20, 30 seconds while I'm talking away, then it'll dry out a bit, but it still gets right back up to writing. And then it's just, I mean, I'm just holding the very end of the pen, putting down no pressure, and it still writes such a beautiful line. Yeah. The sort of writing experience here is pretty much as good as can get with a pen of this price range. Other than the baby's bottom, I mean, you sort of exchange that for just how smooth the pen is. But this is a solid 9 out of 10 writing experience. Yeah, I think it's just super satisfying. Super, super satisfying. Really can't go wrong with it. And yeah, I'm just scribbling away here. I really should be sort of writing more. But here, I'll go for a quick writing test. Quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Awesome. Yeah, and you can see a pen like this. It's actually it's pretty wet. It's a broad nib, so it's bound to be wet. But yeah, this is a juicy one. Juicy indeed. There's really not much more to talk about with this pen. It's a great writer. You know, it's in the mid 200 range, so I would expect it to be a great writer. It's got a Yovo nib. But I mean, for $200 you could have a beautiful pen that you can't really get anywhere else in this price range. Honestly, no complaints here. I'm a big fan. I could definitely see myself using this pen far into the future. It's certainly got a unique look, and it might not be for everyone, but I think just the fact that it's so sort of eye-popping is a cool feature. So yeah, that's really all I got to say with this pen. Highly recommend it if you're looking for a fancy pen like this. And yeah, I just think using a pen like this is a lot of fun. And I think if you haven't tried out this sort of pen, I highly recommend it. I think you should go for it. Now, Laban is a company from Taiwan, and they were founded in 1981. And if you look at all the different pens they make, it's a lot of things along this same range. It's pens with super cool designs that are at a more available price point than some of the crazy expensive pens out there. So I've never had a Laban before. I've looked at them before, and it's cool to have one in my hands. I mean, you can definitely see that they certainly feel good in the hand. They've got some good weight to them. And yeah, they seem really well made. I haven't had any problems using this pen for a few weeks. It's been working great. In the end, even though this pen isn't worth 10 grand, it's still super cool, and it provides a much better value proposition than a $10,000 Mont Blanc, while still looking pretty similar and having a cool place on your desk. It's that sort of pen that you can get if you want to up your writing game to the next level. It's truly a unique choice at this price range, and I'd encourage you to check it out if you're interested. Thank you again to Goldspot Pens for providing this pen for review. I very much appreciate it. Be sure to check out that link in the description below. And yeah, thank you all for watching. Have a good one.